My name is Nonhlanhla, and I will be your traffic controller again. Just a few house rules before we start. If you can just please keep your microphone and your videos disabled. All questions will be answered at the end of the session, or alternatively, you can post your questions in our chat box and we will respond. Since it is Women's Month and we are celebrating all women across the board, we've got an all-women panel today, and hopefully Sis Dudu has been sorted with her technical issues. We've got an all-women panel for today. First on our list is our very own host, Dr. Judy Dlamini, who is the co-founder of Sifiso Publishers, a publisher and author of Equal But Different and The Other Story. If you can just wave for us, Ma'am Judy. Thank you, thank you. And then next on our panel is our own moderator for this session, Siwela Langeni, a strategic marketeer and a co-owner of Afrocentric Bookstore and Book Circle Capital. Hi, Siwela. You can wave for us. And then our honorable guest who's struggling with technical issues with the audio. I don't know if she can hear me. There we go. She's mute. Hello, Dudu.
Yay!
Yes.
Yay! Dudu, please wave if you can hear me. Awesome. Our honorable guest is Dudu Busani Dube, publisher and author of the 4-part series Thomu. And I know every woman has read this. Am I right in saying this?
Yep.
Welcome, welcome aboard. I'm going to hand you over to our host, who's going to be giving you a background of what this is all about and where this is going. Over to you, Ma'am Judy.
Thank you so much, and welcome everyone. It's such an honor for me to host you on our first webinar. What excites me even more is that it happens in the month of women. So happy Women's Month, and that is to both men and women, because the women struggled for everyone, not just for women. Sifiso Publishers is a small, young publishing house that was founded by my family, and we were driven by two motives, really. One is telling unfiltered African stories. There's an African proverb that I like that says, until the story of the hunt is told by the lion, the hunter's story will always be glorified. So we want to change that. We want to tell our stories. And I couldn't think of a better person who actually exemplifies that, like Dudu does. And I'll tell you why later on. And the second story, at least the motive for starting Sifiso Publishers, you may or may not know that Sifiso Publishers is a very small subsidiary of Sifiso Learning Group. And the main company within that group is Future Nation Schools. So what we intend to do and what we actually doing actively every day at Future Nation Schools is to mold confident African leaders who know who they are, who know the positive stories about them, and you are just waiting to take the world. And we always look for Black excellence, for people who actually exemplify what an African across race should be. So it is with the greatest pleasure that we have two women who just show that. Siwela, who has a bookstore which focuses on Afrocentric stories. So we have something in common when it comes to telling the positive African story. And the brief story around Dudu, one of the things that led to the birth of Sifiso Publishers is that I had a book that I had written. I struggled to find a publisher, and we then decided that we always wanted to do this to actually help with the Future Nation dream. Let's just start Sifiso Publishers. And when I approached one of the big distributing stores and wanting to sell to them, because it's all well and good to write, but then you have to distribute, you'll have to read your work. but I couldn't because he said to me, look, there is a moratorium on new publishers, so we can't distribute your books, but I can refer you to someone who can assist. Then he told me a story of this young, beautiful woman that I hadn't met. He said there was a woman who is self-published, and in every store, someone would walk in and say, I want this book, one of the Show Me series. And they ended up publishing, actually distributing Dudu because of just the demand of the customer. So that is why I'm saying to you that we have a formidable published author with us. As a small company, our capacity is not that big, and we are very careful not to grow too quickly. So, but we are aware that there are so many stories that are out there, and those stories need to be heard, need to be read. So one of the packages that we are now offering, and we'll actually give you more on our website, is a package where we will read your manuscript and we'll guide you. We'll offer a service of you to self-publish. So this launch is not just a once-off. This is one of the categories of the service that we would like to offer. With those few words, thank you very much. Tonight is not my night. Tonight is the night we shared with Siwela and Dudu Story. Thank you so much. Thanks, Penny.
Thank you so much, Mom Judy, for that positioning these sessions and introducing both of us, Dudu and I. It's really an honor as Book Circle Capital to be part of these sessions. And yeah, I've had the honor of talking to Dudu here at the store, and I hope it will be just rekindling for all time's sake. So Dudu, my first question to you, maybe for somebody that hasn't heard of you, you know, as much as you've got so much reach, maybe there might be somebody who has never heard of you. Can you tell us a little bit about?
There's always new people. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've done this a lot. You know how to say. So I'm Dudu Busani Dube. I'm well known for the Shomu series books that a lot of people love for reasons I understand and don't understand sometimes, but I mean it's good. So I'm basically I'm a self-published writer. I'm a journalist by profession. But I've just I decided to focus on writing. And a lot of people think that I'm a publisher.
Yes.
It's not, well, I've done it successfully, but it's not something that I'm passionate about. It's not something that I want to do, that I want to focus on. So that is why I have just stuck to publishing my books, only my work that I do. I do assist other people when they want to venture into the self-publishing space. But I'm a writer before I am a publisher, and yeah, I know my limits, so I'm focusing on what I enjoy and what I'm passionate about. So yeah, that's just me. I'm from Durban, which is where I am right now. I'm home visiting my parents.
Nice.
I am, yeah, I've been in Gauteng for 15 years, and I'm turning 39 next month. In the next 3 weeks, I'm gonna be 39.
Wow.
So yeah, that's just me, simply.
What drove you to write? What drove you to start the Shomu series?
Look, the writing part of it is something that it's just me. That's what I've always done. I studied journalism because I wanted to write, and that was the only reason that I studied journalism. So I did work in the journalism industry for about 14 years before I stopped. So I was writing before I started writing books.
Okay.
But I had always known that me being in that profession was actually just part of my journey to being a writer of books. So I started writing a novel. I had written many things before, but I started writing a novel in 2014.
Mm.
It wasn't planned. It was just the right time. I was in the right space for it. And yeah, so from there we are here now.
Awesome.
It just started, and I wrote, and
you've been writing since.
I have been. I did take. Well, I've been doing a lot of things due to the success of my books. So I've had a lot of opportunities that have come. So I've been doing a lot on the side, also through the publishing company that I founded, which I called Klomu Publishing, which also, by the way, is published only my work.
Your work.
So so I think I wrote a lot in 2014 and 2015, and then I had and because my books were doing so well, so successfully, I think I got lazy, and I just started just trying to relax a little bit, and because it was so overwhelming, the whole success of it was so overwhelming, and kind of affected me, I think, emotionally, and I got really exhausted. So I decided, let me take my time, let me not put myself under pressure. And yeah, but I'm done with the book that is supposed to end the series. So, but I've written other things as well. But I've written other things that had nothing to do with the Hlomu series, and I put them out there, and people have liked them, but they still want the Hlomu series. That's what they want. They want that.
Absolutely. So in total, how many books have you self-published?
I have self-published. It's the 4 that I have. The 3 books in the series. The Zulu Wedding, and there's the one that's coming out now, which is part of the series. So I don't know if I should edit as another book. And I've actually discovered that you can make a lot of money on Amazon. You know what? I think a lot of writers do this, where you write something and you can't finish it, so you forget about it and you leave it. So I've started just really going back to those things that they are just there on my PC, and just giving them endings and putting them up. Amazon has a feature called 1 hour reads, where you can basically short stories that got too long. So you can put those things there and you can sell them, and people really like them. There are people who like to read shorter stories. So I did that with 2 weeks ago.
I saw that
last week. Yeah, I started a book. I wrote it. I was in it, and then I just disconnected. I just lost it along the way. So it was just sitting there. I revisited it, ended it, and just put it in there in just 14,000 words, and it's actually people are liking it.
Wow!
So I made free for South Africans. And then I put it up for sale for other people outside South Africa, and it's actually done really, really well. So I think that those are just the things that you discover along the way when you venture into publishing in the book space. That
actually
there are other ways.
Yeah, it's actually one of the questions that's coming later around digital versus bricks and mortar. So we will explore this one further because it's very interesting. What would you say are the advantages of self-publishing?
Look, advantages, I think, and for me, it's not that I had planned to self-publish, but when I was doing it and I was learning along the way, and most of the things that I was trying out were working for me. What I loved mostly was the freedom that I have to explore whatever I want. I don't have a box. I don't have to ask anyone. I don't have somebody that I report to. If I can put my work out the way I want it to be. So it's very honest. It's very me. So you find a me that you know in everything that I do and everything that I put out there. But speaking of, the business part of it is still also the fact that I own my work, and I can negotiate for myself, and I can decide what I want done with it. I can decide whether I want to take it to film or not. I can decide whether I want to collaborate with somebody in doing something about it. There's just, I don't know, there's just that empowering and just fulfilling thing about knowing your work and having the freedom and the power to put it out there the way you want it to be seen and to be consumed. And that's, I think it's time for us creative people to make money out of what we do. I mean, out of the gift that we have been given, and we need to start treating it as money making machine. Our talents have to be something that puts food on our table. We need to start thinking that way instead of just being the VIPs and having no having and making as little money out of it as possible.
And so you touched on the advantages, which is the freedom, the power to make decisions. What are some of the challenges of going the self-publishing route?
Well, the fact that it's a business, and it's work, and if you are in it, you have to be really in it. So along the way, I made a lot of like just dumb decisions. I also made a lot of good decisions, but they were my decisions, so I can't really be angry at myself. I can't punish myself. So I think the fact that it's a business and the fact that there are also politics around this very, very small industry of books and also the fact that you need to have money to be able to do it. I mean, putting a book together is not, it doesn't just happen. You need to have the funds and you need to be able to do your research, and you do basically you're just on your own. If it depends on you whether you succeed or not. It's just purely based on how you handle things and how much work you put in it. So it can be exhausting. It can be you just need to have the information. And I found that in this space of self-publishing, people really, I think I make it look easy. Maybe just me and and a couple of other people who have been successful in self-publishing. I think we make it look easy, when in fact when somebody comes to you on the side privately and ask you about self-publishing, when you start telling them that actually it's not as easy and as glamorous as it looks, they start thinking that maybe you don't want them coming and crowding your space,
crowding the space,
thinking that you are discouraging them. But it's it's a lot. There's also the worst, though, has been, I heard Judy spoke about that, about the distribution part of it.
Yeah.
So that's why, I mean, you can do everything right, but as long as you don't have the means to get the book to people that want to buy it and want to read it, it becomes a problem. And we rely very much on bookstores, and we have the traditional, old bookstores that have space in every city, in every mall.
Yeah.
And those are the people that were turning us down when we started. But the relationships are better now. We are in a better place with them. But they won't just take your book.
Yeah.
You have to have a name. You have to have people that want to read your stuff for them to even put your book on the shelf.
For them to consider you. Yeah. So before you had a relationship with the big chain stores, how did you then deal with the distribution issue?
So I had yeah, no, it was it was tough. So
you can give us
so I was selling the books from the boot of my car, and I'm telling you, so like from day one, my books were successful before I even printed them, and they were selling very well. And I still had to sell them from the boot of my car because bookshops wouldn't take them. So I was selling them from the boot of my car. I was going to pop up, I was booking tables at, the Sunday markets. And the Saturday markets, the fashion markets and the food markets. I would book a stall and I would sell my books there, and people would come and would have fun. And I had friends. I even had strangers, people who were just my readers, who would say, "Look, I'm in this small town somewhere in the Northern Cape. Tell you what, send me your books. I'll sell them, and then I'll send you your money." So I had those as well. There were also online stores who weren't exactly selling books, but then I think they saw the opportunity. And they started talking to me, and we're selling through them. And there weren't a lot of independent bookstores then. This was like 5 years ago, 2015.
Yes.
Yeah, they're just not there. I mean, actual physical bookstores that were independent, the smaller ones. I think there was just one that I knew of. So look, and I always tell people who are trying to self-publish, or somebody who has a book and they don't know what to do because they can't get it in the shop. I'm like, you know what, just go crazy and sell it. Eventually you are going to be noticed by the same stores that have refused to sell your books, and they will be calling you. I mean, that's the only advice I can give them. So I started, but also the independent stores were, when I did get to know some of them, they're basically the first stores to start selling my books before others caught on. Yeah.
So right now you've got a merge of both. So you've got a presence in main stores, in indies like us, and you're also online. So how would you say the sales compare right now? Are you seeing a growth in online, or is it still strongly in bricks and mortar?
Look, I've just put it. I've just put my books up on what is that thing? Amazon.
Amazon. Yeah.
So I put them. I didn't want to have ebooks initially because I think people just. I don't know. There are people who just want to pirate everything I do.
Yes.
And I don't know how they do it. I don't know if it's just me or if it's every other writer that is there. So I didn't see the need because the books were just selling in hard copy and paperback. I was fine with that. But then when lockdown started, I started thinking, oh, actually no, let me put them on Amazon because people are not gonna leave their houses to buy books there. So I put them there, and I outsourced Claire to help me with that, to typeset them, turn them into ebooks and all of this and all of that. And then I put them there, and then I never went back to check what was happening, because I also wasn't exactly an ebook person.
Yes.
So and then so now I'm just really, it's been 3 months, and they're good. They're always in the top hundreds. I don't know how it works really, but the first time somebody told me I was on the top 50 of on Amazon, I went there thinking, I've probably, that means I've sold a lot of books, that's why I'm there. And I went there, I found that I had sold, like, that was the first week, I think. I sold, I think, 7 books. So I was like, no, this is not it. And
Kanti, what's the matrix of what makes top 100?
I don't know. I still don't understand it, but I'm trying to. But but it looks like they're doing great. There are a lot of things that I'm also still trying to understand about the whole ebook thing. But I've also always known that my readers are not exactly, or the majority of them are people that want a book. They want a paper,
touch and feel.
and they want to put it in the bookshelf and see it and look at it and touch it. But the ebook thing hasn't been bad as well, and it's mostly people who are not in South Africa that are buying on Amazon, which is
okay. That sounds good. So you're still seeing more hard copy selling versus the online, and I guess it's a national trend, really. We're slowly getting to it. We generally are very much touch and feel people. So which genres would you say sell better in general around self-publishing? Because you mentioned that people are approaching you about self-publishing questions, and they sort of going, you're the go-to person on questions around self-publishing. Which genres would you say sell better if somebody is considering going the self-publishing route?
At the moment, the in thing, the one thing that people are interested in reading, and I'm not going to say it's romance. It's not exactly romance. They want to read about things that they do, things that happen to, things that they can relate to. Well, the genre is fiction, obviously. I think because I deal with fiction, I'd say, and I've done well in fiction, I'd say that's the genre. But it's people love African stories, and they love South African stories, and they love content that is simple, that is modern, and that's something that they can see themselves in. And what I've also realized about people that are the reading space, the reading culture now, is that they tend to want something that is quick, a story that moves. It's I don't know how to explain it, but I think at this time, that is what people are looking for. That is what people are liking. It could change. It changes all the time. But at this time, I think that's where we are.
That's where we are. And I'm seeing a lot more short stories where people want to read in chunks, and have a story, finish it, and then if I want to come back, I must come back to a new story. So you're definitely right. I'm seeing.
Yeah, and the rise of the short story, it was just so people generally didn't like short story books, and I think 5 years ago, fiction wasn't something that people were interested in, especially in South Africa.
It was politics,
people were reading the motivational things, and the political kind of content, your biography, autobiographies, and it flipped, because that is what happens. It just flipped, and fiction was the thing. the big thing. So, and we've seen short stories actually just coming and being embraced by a lot of people. Not a lot of people, especially within the Black writing community. Short stories
Yes.
where you did them because you had them, but I don't think anyone expected them to sell and actually be in the top 10 and be the book that everybody's talking about. It just wasn't a thing until I know Nick has done did a great Under the Apricot Tree, which
So
did
we're
very
to Under
well.
the Apricot Tree. Yes.
Great, yeah. And yeah, I know Fred has also done some short stories.
Yeah.
There's a
Also,
lot that,
yeah, there's lots coming. Actually, in the past year, there's been a lot. That
yeah, yeah,
mobile has done that if you keep digging. So there's been a lot of stories.
yeah,
I'm seeing a
yeah.
lot
And they're actually,
of interesting questions for you on the chat. So I don't want to hog you too long for myself. My last two last questions were, are you part of any indie writer groups? If yes, what has the experience been like?
I am actually. So there was a group that was started, I think sometime last year, which is called, it's IASA. I never know the full
Yasla,
words.
okay?
Yeah, IASA, I think Independent
Yasla,
Authors of South
okay.
Africa. IASA, yeah. They started by one of self-published writers, Tumelo
Okay.
Molele, who's been self-publishing since 2012.
Yes, I see
So so she kind of, I'm sure you know Tumelo
I
Mulele.
know her. Yes.
Yeah. So she kind of gathered everyone and said, look, let's just try and organize ourselves. There's a lot of us. Let's see how we can help each other, how we can share information and so we did. We joined, we met, and you get people who have experience in the self-publishing space. You get people who are still trying to, get in, and you get people who have done books, but they have not been, they got stuck somewhere and they didn't know what to do going forward. So we've had that, and it's really just about sharing information and trying to assist each other, and and a lot of things. So it's I think if you are trying to self-publish, it's definitely a group you should be in. I mean, information is shared very freely, and there's always someone ready to help you with something. We've seen writers who
That's
come
good to know.
out of that group.
Nice. So, what are for somebody listening on this call, and they want to, they're thinking of self-publishing? What are the top 5? I know there's lots more, but top 5 that they should consider when you've touched on them, but as a summary.
Okay. So first of all, have a book. Do not have a book. Do not think about publishing or self-publishing or going traditional before you even have a book. Do not think about anything. Write a book, finish it.
Yeah.
And before you inbox me on some Dudu, I want to be a writer, because if you don't have a finished book, there's nothing I can do for you. There's nothing I can say to you. So have a book and research what goes into a book. Research the legalities. Just know that you need to have an ISBN number. You need to do this and do this, and just to put how you put a book together. Sure. Research about paper. Have all the information. What a cover should be like. How it should resonate with the story, and all of that. And then have some money saved up on the side, because you can't do it without any money saved on the side.
Yeah.
And another thing, just be willing to and ask questions, to work really, really hard. You are going to have to market the book yourself. Also, just make sure it's a good book. You can't, just get someone to read it for you and tell you if it's a good book or a bad book, because people are very honest out there.
Yeah, they're very vocal. True.
Yeah, they will tell you. So, it's important. If it doesn't work, just write another one. And if that one fails, to write another one. You get to. If you're really, really about writing and having books, just, keep pushing and trying it. Eventually you'll get it right.
That's so good. I'm going to open up now to the chat. As I said, there's been some nice questions coming up. Noni, I don't know, is there like an order, or can I just scroll?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Swela, awesome. Let me read out the questions for the panel.
Okay.
So one comes from Unamtla to Sis Dudu, and you mentioned about, you get stuck sometimes. So she's got two questions for you here. The first one, she's asking, you said that you get disconnected when you were writing. What were you writing? And that's her first question. And the second question is, how do you get, what helps you to get back into, connect you back into writing again? So if you can address those two, and then I'll come back with the next one.
Okay, so I think this question about me disconnecting comes from when I spoke about having stuff that's just lying around on my PC. Most of it that has on my computer, stuff that I write and get stuck and decide not to continue writing. I think she's talking about that. Look, I write a lot of other things besides the Hlomo series. And sometimes I do get stuck in the Hlomo series and decide to just write something else that is also fiction, but I can't specifically say what I write on which day. So the narrowing, that book that is on Amazon, is a perfect example of just that random things that I start writing. And I think everybody who writes books, especially fictions, has a lot of that stuff in their computer, just sitting, books they will never finish. So yeah, I don't even know if I answered the question or if I just.
Has there been stuff that you've forgotten, you've buried, and then come back to it?
Yeah, you do come back to it, and sometimes you can continue writing and until it turns into an actual book. Sometimes you can't reconnect with it, so it ends up sitting there. And maybe one day, if you don't give it to the people, maybe one day you can go back and it will come to you again, and you push the story to the finish. But yeah, it happens a lot. Stuff lying around.
Okay.
Thanks, Tutu, for that. Swela, do you want to just take the rest of the questions?
Yeah, it's cool. We've got a question from Umpile. She says, how hard was it to write Zulu Wedding, which was a movie script? What was the difference with that book in terms of the writing style, journey, and challenges?
So with Zulu Wedding, so what they did was that I watched the movie.
Yeah.
And so basically the agreement is that I must write a book based on the movie. So being somebody who writes fiction, and I develop my own characters. I decide what happens to them, and I never start a book knowing an ending. So with Zulu Wedding, I knew how the story was supposed to end. And the characters who already had personalities, so I had to try and keep them on that line and make sure that I don't portray them different from they're portrayed in the movie. But also that was not even, that was the exciting thing about it for me. Because I do that, I'm a diver. I dive into things. If they seem a little difficult and dangerous, I go there. I run to them.
That's what attracts you to them.
Yeah. So that was the exciting thing about it, that I was going to have to do something different. And yeah, and I did that, and I enjoyed writing Zulu Wedding. It was different from Hlomu, and that was intentional.
Okay.
It helped me come out of a place where I was exhausted. I was trying to push myself to do the fourth book in the Hlomu series, and it came at a time where it came as a distraction, and something that I did and enjoyed, and then I was able to go back to writing the Hlomu series. So yeah, I liked it. It was fun to write. The story was cute.
It was. I read it. It was different from the other stuff, and because we've profiled you with Hlomu series, we were shocked. We're like, okay, but then we adjusted soon, quickly, and we moved along.
Yeah. And I tell people that I'm not always going to be that person who writes about a boy meets girl, a boy is dark, girl is this and this. Like I'm not gonna always. That was a Hlomu series thing, but I'm gonna write other things that have no love or sex or family or money or
drama. Yeah.
I'm going to write about other things, so I might as well start now.
On that same point, will you consider writing an autobiography? That's a question from Mom Judy.
Look, I'm no.
Why not?
I'm not, and I don't even read biographies. It's not. Yeah, I think that I also do think that my life has just been a bland in a way,
Yeah.
There isn't anything that I can just horn a story about my life on. I've just lived nicely and not perfectly, but I don't even see anything that I can go to and say, look, this happened, and this is what I did, and this is I can actually just write a guide to self-publishing that I can do.
That would be great,
how
actually.
Awesome.
That would be awesome, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, but biography, I don't know. I've had a couple of people who've asked me to do their biographies, but yeah, I haven't done any of them so far. But I'm not ruling it out. It could be something that I do for money when when my books stop selling.
I don't know when that will be, when the book will stop selling. I mean, speaking from myself, from Book Circle Capital, they're still in demand. I mean, how many years later? So they are still in demand. Somebody's no Lulamo is asking, when you started with Hlomu series, did you know it was going to be a series?
No. So look, I didn't. So Hlomu shocked me. The first book, Hlomu the Wife, it shocked me. But I wrote a second Hlomu and Mkheli book. I wrote it. I wrote it. And then it was supposed to be just those two books.
Yeah.
And so my sister was reading it. She does the reading for me. So, and then I decided to explore Zandile one day. I just said, okay, let me just, because I was far in that second book, and she was really just, I didn't know what to do with her. I was just trying to get her personality and just, make her an important person in the story. So I decided to explore her on the side, and it turned into a book. Sure. And the same happened with Naledi. But with Naledi, when I wrote it, at least I was thinking along those lines of
you're already intentional about it, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the next thing I knew, I was on book number 3, and people love book number 3.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And
but
they
also I
can't wait.
enjoyed writing.
They can't wait for book number 4. I'm sure you get that all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. I have for the past 5 years. I've been getting there.
There's a
So
question. There's a question here. Can you make a decent living out of writing? You alluded to this, so maybe if you can go a bit further to say, can you make a decent living?
look, some people can, some people can, other people cannot. It really just depends on how successful you are as a writer and how popular you are. You get. I mean, there are writers who get to a place where it's not even about the book. People are attached to them, to their names. They can write about kites flying, and their books will be bestsellers. People will buy their books. So I think you build your name. I think with anything in the arts, anything creative, the most important thing is your name. So you build your name, and you get to a point where people are just loyal to you, and they're just interested in it. Doesn't matter how good or bad it is. They just like you, and so they're going to buy anything you do. So those writers are, the big ones, the Stephen Kings, the Who, the Jodie Pickards, the Moyer lady, Jojo.
Jojo
So those are the
Moyes,
people. Yeah, and Aboma Daniel Steele, the legends. The legends of romance and horsebacks. So those are the people that really can just sit and do nothing. But also those are people that worked on their names.
On
And
building the name.
Could say, a home guy. So those are people that really just built their names, and they worked, and they wrote a lot of books. That's another thing about them. Those are people that write a lot. They just
release
do
a book like twice a year sometimes. I've seen.
Yeah, they finish one book and they start another one, and they stick to a certain type of story. They're known for writing a specific type. If one writes about horror, they're gonna write about horror for the rest of their lives, or romance, and they stick to the way they write. So they have their guaranteed audience and buyers. But I was just answering a simple question. However,
I was about to say to the both of you. I was about to say.
Point is, there are writers who can live of writing, and I have lived of it for like 3 years now. For a while, but also I'm not sure how long it's going to last, so I have to keep writing. So it's doable. You just need to work harder and respect your name.
So ladies, I am conscious of time. Suela, there are a few more questions. Sis Dudu. There's one more question that I'd just like to add to that. Unamhla is asking about, the difference between writing for a movie and for a book. Is there a difference in that? If you can just explain that for us.
Yeah.
There is. There's a big difference. So when they turn a book into a movie or a TV series or whatever, in movies there's script writing, which I cannot do, and I do not understand, and I do not see. So there's a lot of technical work in movies, in movie scripts, and how the story there is developed. That's why there's always, the book is usually better than the screen thing, and sometimes some screen things are better than the movie. They're more interesting than the movie. So it's a totally, totally different world. I can't write for TV. I can't write for screen. If I wanted to, well, I tried to and I failed dismally. So if I wanted to write for TV, I would have to go and study, get somebody to just teach me, because it's totally different. You can't, if you can do one, you can't claim you can do the other. It's not doable. And what else did I wanted to say something about this. Okay, yeah, it's gone.
It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, but
this question,
to
you'll remember it shortly.
Okay.
This question goes to Mom Judy. Ma, I know you're still there. This one says, I'd like to write about my story about, look, in a third person. I have a sad story to tell that my community doesn't know about. They think my life is rosy, but I'd like to do that. So, is there something that somebody can do? And another question to Mom Judy. It says, I'd like to know if Sifiso Publishers offers services of putting short stories in audio form, in an audio form sort of book. So Ma, if you're still there, if you can just come back, and then we'll go back to Suella, and then we can go to the next questions.
Okay, great. To the first question, just like Dudu said, do write the story in the third person, because it will be therapeutic for you. Your sad story, putting it on paper, will actually help you to heal. And we can't advise on whether it's a good story to sell or not. So there is a manuscript. So I encourage you to write the story, because it's therapy for you. And I can only answer the next question, whether it's something that would publish once the story is there. So I encourage you to do that. In terms of converting an audiobook to a book, I do know of Rev.com, which offers that service. It's a US company. It has to be, unfortunately, in English, because they understand American English. So there's corrections that you'd have to make if the person that's doing the audio has an African English, if you like. But I've actually used them personally, and they are quite good. So you can do that.
Thank you so much, Ma, for that.
Okay, we'll hop on back to the other questions that are remaining just before we wrap up. Did the series from Malebu, she says, did the series have any traction outside South Africa, particularly within the rest of the continent? And do you think there's an opportunity to develop stories that reflect inter-African relations?
Yes, they've actually, especially in the SADC region. Yes. They've done very well. No, I have them in Namibia, Swaziland, Botswana. They've done very well. I've also been to Swaziland twice to do book discussion. I went to Zimbabwe at some point, and they've done well there. And look, I think the more I read, African, especially, I think we have more access to Nigerian literature and Ghanaian, yes. And also we're seeing the Kenyans and the Tanzanians and coming in and writing. The thing about most of the northern parts of Africa and some parts of West Africa is that they speak French. They write mostly in French. And sometimes, and you know how the French don't like translating anything to any language. So there's that. But the more I read, the more I realize how similar we are in as Africans in terms of especially our generation. Am I a millennial? I don't know. I'm not a millennial. I'm not sure. But this generation of ours that is in, I think I'd say between 35 and 50. We are not the technology savvy generation, but we know about it. And in my 2000 are kicking out and stuff. So I found that the more I read, because the writers that are my age are currently the ones that are in the space of writing in the African continent. So how I've seen how similar we are in our stories and how we view life, and how we actually think, and how we understand just being Black and being African, and how different things were 10 years ago compared to now. So I think the more we read about, because everybody's writing about their own life, their own country, their own culture, and the funny things that are just uniquely African. The more we read about it, the more we read stories from other African countries, the more we get to know about people outside of South Africa, and that's when we realize how similar, how we are all kind of related somehow.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're very connected.
And I mean, it reminds me of the book that Sifiso Publishing did, the Other Stories by Mom Judy, where she goes throughout all over the continent and you're right, the stories were very much similar. I'm going to jump on to the next question. Ntabiseng wants to know what are things to look out for when choosing a publisher? I know you.
Okay, that's not for me. Ne?
Yeah, that's not for you. I think that's more for Mom.
Yeah. Okay.
It depends. It depends on your manuscript, one, what that publisher looks out for, because different publishers look for different things. And I'm also not even the right person, because Sifiso Publishers has their own interest in terms of what they like to publish. But I think the main thing when it comes to publishing is making sure that your book is well edited, making sure that you have someone to do the layout design, making sure that you have someone who's going to do a book cover that will sell. There's so many books in bookstores that your cover should actually say, "Please pick me." So I think if you already have a manuscript, what I would do is to shop around the small publishing houses and also the big ones, and see where you get the best deal. But we tend to be quite similar in terms of royalties. Like for fiction, it's a certain percentage, for non-fiction, and so forth. So it's really much of the same.
Okay, thanks, Ma. There's a question from Stu Matala that says, most people are afraid to leave a 9-to-5 job to do something they love and be creative. How did you come to the decision, and what was your state of mind at the time when you left the newsroom to be a full-time writer?
Oh, actually, we were fired. Look, I wanted to leave, but I was scared. I had been planning to leave for months, but I always thought, okay, let me just get my next salary, even though I was making more money outside work than I was at my actual day job, which was more demanding. So we came to, I'm just gonna tell the story. We went to work, and at that time I was news editor of the newspaper. So we arrived at work in the morning, we put the newspaper together, we called to a meeting at around 5 when the paper was ready, and it was a Thursday, and we were told that this is the last edition, it's over. Nice. Everyone, this is, and then just like that, and then it ended. We were told that don't come back tomorrow, that is what happened. So for me, the decision that I made was that from there, when I walked out of that office, was that I'm not even going to look at my CV or try to find my CV. This is it. This is where it ends for me. I'm just going to focus on this thing that I'm doing and that I love. It's something I'd always wanted. So I can't say what happened was a blessing, because it had a lot of people. A lot of people didn't have plans going forward. So for me, I was I was fired.
For you, it turned out being a blessing. And this flows nicely into Sandra's question, because she then asks, Namta, I see your question about audiobooks. We'll touch on that. Please touch a bit on your money journey. How important has it been to be able to manage your finances, both personal and business?
So it's been, I'm not exactly a person who would be, I spend money. I'm not that person who's good with money and would plan and would budget and would do this and that. So I kind of leave. I mean, if I see something that I like, if I see a dress that I like and it's gonna make me happy, I buy it. And if I go out to eat, I like making myself happy, and I work hard just so that I can get that. So the business part of it has also always been, I think I said this earlier, it's been like the most challenging. But what I've done is that I understand that I can't do everything on my own. So I really do focus on the things that I like doing and things that I'm passionate about. So for my business, for Sifiso Publishing, I first of all, I found myself an accountant who has to make sure that I don't go to jail for not paying tax or whatever. I got myself a lawyer who is in whatever agreements that I do with people who want to do stuff with my work. My IP lawyer just makes sure that I'm paid what I deserve. So there was another business that I outsourced. So I do also spend a lot of money paying people to make sure that this business that I have here is protected and that it works and that it stays afloat. So I'm not a businesswoman. It's not, so I do make kind of stupid decisions, buy stuff with company money and not being sure how to explain it to the accountant, but we make it work. So it has sustained me, and I'm good.
But at least I love that you admit that there are things that you're not good at, and therefore you highlight the importance of having people that can help you with those things, and you focus on the creative, which is very, very important, especially for creatives, to keep that in mind, because normally that's what leads to the end of it. Final question from Namhla is a series available in an audiobook?
No, it's not. I haven't. I've only just turned it into ebooks. So I mean, like audiobooks.
It's too much.
I haven't. I think I'm old school like that. I haven't even tried. But look, if I were to do audiobooks, I'm not going to be the person who just gets somebody to sit down and read. If I'm gonna do audiobooks, I'm going to get somebody to read Mkhele's part, somebody to read Hlomo's part, somebody to do this and that. I'm not just gonna, even I can't do audiobooks because it just, I don't like listening to somebody read for me. If I want to read a book, I read it myself. So if I ever go that way, it will have to be something unique, something that would change how it's been done before. I'm not just gonna,
We've come to the end of our webinar, the hashtag Beyond the Pages by Sifiso Publishing. Thank you so much to everyone that attended. Thank you so much to you, Dudu, for sharing and being open about your publishing journey. So much wisdom that you shared with people around your self-publishing journey and where do you and the future. And I mean, as you say, people are waiting now to say when is the fourth book, and we can guarantee you guys that here at Book Circle Capital we'll definitely have those copies. It's been an honor being the moderator. I don't know, Mom Judy, is there any final words from your side?
I just want to thank everyone who actually took the time to be with us. And in case you haven't seen, we have a promotion. Everyone that tuned in can buy any of the Sifiso Publishers titles at a discounted rate, 10% discount, whether you buy it at Book Circle as well as Bookstore or online on sifisopublishers.africa. You can get that till midnight of the 9th of August. It's our way of celebrating the Women's Month.
Thank you.
The other thing, thanks very much, Siwela. Thank you so much, Dudu. It was such an honor to host you, and thanks for being so authentic. You know, you are authentic in your writing and also just sharing your story. We really appreciate that. One of the things that's important to us as a family and Sifiso Publishers is sharing knowledge, sharing information, because that's wealth creation just there. Because information and knowledge is wealth. Thanks very much. Next week, we'll have Dinswalo. I'll now hand you over to Noni.
So much, everybody. I mean, our hosts were fabulous. And I think we echo the sentiment from Osiswela, Mam Judy, Sis Dudu, that Hlomo series, ne? That's all I can say. Thank you so much, everyone. This is the end of it. Join us next Thursday on the 13th of August. Same time, same place. The link is already there. And we're good. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye-bye.
Everybody, happy Women's Day.
Happy Women's Month. Yeah.